Syrian village. And the major function of this, as we will go up and look back down to the Sea of Galilee, the major function was military presence of the Syrians. Let's walk out.
You don't think we would fight back with a vengeance? You don't think we'd end up fighting back with a vengeance?
Feels good. How are you?
Hello, Rabbi Haber.
How are you?
How
How are you? I saw you over here last time, wasn't it?
That's right.
It was windier.
Yeah.
What?
Something about the haze. Yeah, you said this last time too.
You got the ITC hat?
Thank you for waiting, Rabbi Haber.
Really? It wasn't just I didn't. I tried. Can I send you one to the safe? Yeah. Can I take your mail?
On the next
I lost I couldn't find one of the pictures.
One of them being photographed. How are you?
It's in there?
Traditions.
How are you?
My son-in-law.
Baruch Hashem.
What's the
I just finished.
Okay.
Come around, everybody!
Come around.
Yeah, more or less.
Welcome.
There's a couple of
How are you?
Everybody, come
we're not all
around!
here.
you do? And the Muslim concern.
Okay. Well, man.
There's actually 32 of us. Let's go, let's go.
Lay.
Let's gather around, everyone, come around!
32 for the heart.
Who else is missing?
With all of these cameras going on, one is going to get to COL today or something. They'll be on the site. We do this every time. We never get onto the site.
If you give me a card,
So actually, when I
You
took
do
the
get
picture, I did it. But I can see I came out of the camera this time. I'm leaving it up to you now.
Yeah, for 1 second. Yeah.
if you give me your card,
You have to stand like this. Hold on.
No,
It goes like this. You have to go like this.
I'd be right in front.
You see, I lost 6 kilos since I saw you last.
I know where they are, I found them.
Yeah, now you gotta go like this. I have to shake my hand like this. I have to look at who's taking camera.
You're good.
Okay?
He's been here. We have done that. We just signed a peace treaty with Syria.
With the Golan.
It works.
All right. I'm still waiting to see one of your pictures.
You understood. We just pledged for each of our Chabad houses for the Chabad of the Golan, God willing.
I was recently, actually, I was in 2 Batei Chabad, one in Western Florida and one in Boca Raton this past year. And I explained to them, I tried to put into perspective how the Beit Chabad in Chispin looks as compared to their Chabad center. I told them basically the vestibule leading towards their restroom is the size of my Beit Chabad. So to put everything into perspective. But hi, how are you?
Hi, Rabbi Haber was just in Boca Raton. Shortly, he's the rabbi in Boca Raton.
Shalom Aleichem, nice to meet you. I was by Rabbi Denberg. Yes. And I was by the big center.
Boca Raton Synagogue.
And I was by Rabbi New downtown over there. Right. Okay. So, but one thing I do have, even though it's a small Beit Chabad further up, we have all of this. Now, what we're looking at.
We have Newark.
I think the visibility in Newark today is similar, except this is not from industrial smog. Here, the weather is quite pure up here. This is basically coming from the heat of the day, the fogginess or the haziness of the day, coming off the water. But as the day goes on, the fog will lift. What I'd like you to do now before I begin if you look very carefully straight ahead, you see coming out of the fog there, all those white houses. Okay, that's Tveria. Okay, you're looking straight ahead of Tveria. See, concentrate your eyes straight ahead. You see all the, along the hill, down below there are white houses. Those are the hotels right on the water. And most times, actually, when you come here, it's very, the visibility is clear. You can see every house by itself.
You say that every time, Rabbi Haber.
No, the winter is clearer, right? The winter is clear.
Come back in February, everyone.
Now, perhaps during the course of the day, as you go up to Katzrin and further places, the fog will lift and you'll see some of the things we're talking about now that we have to use our imagination for a little bit. But usually, and again, if you look straight, you see Tveria straight ahead. If you look a little bit to the left and go up the hill, right out into the fog, usually you'll see, maybe even before we leave here, there'll be a mountain that you'll see the top of, which is an oval shape. And that's Mount Tavor, Har Tavor. And we know that from the Navi, what happened on Har Tavor. Everybody, excluding the rabbis.
Remind me.
The ladies should know about this. There was a prophetess, and her name was Devorah. And there the armies of Barak, the Jewish people, camped. And she went, they had somebody over there named Rachab, and she went ahead, and she had to go take care of Sisera. And Rachab put the thing to his temple, killed him. That all took place in Har Tavor. Now, further north over here, okay, soon I'll speak about the places you can see. But further north over here, again, out into the fog right now, and believe me, on winter days you see the snow-capped Mount Hermon here as if it's right next to you. Even though it's about 50 kilometers, or it's about an hour's drive from here, you see Hermon. So in this particular place, in most cases, in most days, and when you come back again, you'll understand, you see the Hermon and Mount Tavor in the Galil, and the Hermon all the way up north in the Golan, at the same time. There you look right, you see the Hermon, and here you look this way, west, and you see Har Tavor. Why am I mentioning this? Because there is King David wrote the Psalms, we know, and in Tehillim, in Perek Pei Tet, in chapter 89, in the 13th sentence, it says as follows: Safon v'yamin tavratam, Tavor v'Hermon b'shimcha yiranenu. The north and the south you created them. Tavor and Hermon sing of the greatness of your name. And this is mentioned here by David HaMelech. And in the same pasuk, in the same sentence, he speaks about the two mountains singing the greatness of God, the Hermon and Tavor. And many times when I come here, and I pass here many times, and sometimes when I really could use a few moments of just really seeing what's going on here, and feeling close, certainly with the Hillim. Sometimes I come here, there's nobody here, and it's just mine. And there I look that way, as David speaks in his pasuk. You see the Hermon with the snow on it, and then Har Tavor right over here. And it sort of brings it all home, which makes it even more crazy as to how for 10 years we lived under a political cloud over here. And what unfortunately is taking place in Gush Katif, where I understand the Rebbitzin was for the past week, because she got 2 weeks. You were looking for West Orange is a little bit too bored for you, not too quiet.
One orange to another.
Oh, very good. Okay. How did we figure Long Island after that? Think of it.
And why did you go?
So in any case,
Al Talmud Al Damai Echad, don't stand by while the blood of your brother is being spilled. Right now I feel like I should be in the
this
Shomron.
all, as you see,
Even as we speak,
right
they're
here,
evacuating
this they wanted to give away
people.
to our enemies.
We're here.
Not normal.
We either
but
love the
from
land
Golan
or
Heights, from the south.
we don't
to the
show our
north,
love
now
for
you
the
can
land,
something
it's
Golan
not going to
Heights,
be with us
but from the
anymore.
south to the north, you have 70 kilometers north to south, and just about 5 to 6 kilometers east to west, as far as the Golan is concerned.
Who wants to give it away, Rabbi?
No, who wanted to?
Yeah, because we just heard from somebody of the Jewish religion before that says this, we never were going to give it away.
Yeah, this was going to be given away by 3 prime ministers and 2 presidents.
That's all?
This was the top of the agenda, and if you remember just several years ago, during the end of Bill Clinton's second term in office, he was looking to get the Nobel Peace Prize, and he figured the best way he could do that was to make peace, or what he would call peace with Syria, and give this away. And what happened when Prime Minister Barak, after Rabin and Peres had put this on the agenda, and Netanyahu for that matter as well, Barak came upon this thing with his blessings that Bill Clinton would meet with President Assad, may he rest in hell, from Syria, and they were going to meet in Geneva, which they did. Now, one particular night, I happened to be that particular night in the south here, was speaking to a group of Chabad women in Beersheba, and the Rebbe in 1992 gave us the bracha in the Golan. הרבי מלובביץ' קורא לכל תושבי רמת הגולן להיות חזקים, לא לפחד מכל המאורעות האחרונים ולהישאר במקומם איתנים בקיום שליחותם בביאת גואל צדק עד ביאת גואל צדק מהרה ומנו אמן. So what the deal was here, the Rebbe gave us, the translation was that the Lubavitcher Rebbe calls upon all residents of the Golan Heights to stay strong, not to be afraid, to stay in their places, and courageously to maintain the mission of building all of Eretz Yisrael, the full Eretz Yisrael, Ashlema, until the upcoming redemption. Amen. And this was a bracha that was publicized throughout the world. We have it here on billboards, still some in the Golan, on top of the roof of our house, and this gave a tremendous amount of inspiration. And this went with us the entire time. The Rebbe says, don't be afraid, don't pay attention to the recent developments, keep strong and stay in your places. And so things got very hairy. And finally, the last point was that they thought that this would be it. And so Barak, Clinton doesn't just take Air Force One if it wasn't already developed before, the whole plan. And he gets to Geneva and he meets Assad. And that very night they were going to give away the Golan with the blessings of Prime Minister Barak. And while I was speaking about the bracha that I just recited to you, to these women, the women asked me right at the night, but Rabbi, we like you over there in the Golan, we love you, we're with you, but after all, right as you're telling us this bracha, right now, they're signing a treaty to give this away. And I said, I don't know what to tell you ladies, except for the fact that this bracha has been going with us all the time. It's about a 6-hour drive up from Beersheba back here. Into the second hour of my drive around midnight, I stop at a traffic light, and the news comes on at midnight and tells everyone that Clinton got up in a huff back onto Air Force One. Assad got up and took him back to Syria to die, and basically the deal was off. What happened? Why am I leading up to this and you're standing right here in the sun? I'm telling you what happened. At the last minute, Assad had everything in his hand already. He had the Golan. But he wanted 1/3 of the northern Kinneret, which you're looking at right now. He wanted the top over there. You see this, the way the Kinneret makes a circle on the top in the north? He wanted that, 1/3 of that, which he said that they controlled before the 67 war. And even Clinton knew that even the left-wing Barak and even the left-wing in this country, which was also not so crazy about giving away the Golan, even that would be too much when they started talking about also throwing the Kinneret into the deal. And that finished it off. So God, when you speak about Paro, and we read in the Chumash, and hardened Paro's heart, because he could have had everything, and every time here the man was going to get everything, the Jews were going to crazily give him all the Golan Heights, and he asked for the Kinneret also, for part of the Kinneret, and that was too much, and that's it. The Rebbe's bracha, of course, stays with us to this very day, and we're continuing to build the Golan beautifully, but it's not normal. I mean, it's just totally not normal. Right over here, when you got off the bus and you came here, you don't see it now, but it was a big tent for 5 years. People coming in here and getting literature, and it was the tent where people were always demonstrating and staying at the spot to bring people here to show them the craziness. How can you do this? Because right behind you, to your back, when you get back onto the road, I'm sure your guide will tell you, we're about 2 kilometers from the border with Syria. And it's the quietest border for one simple reason, as you understand. We look down upon them and they don't look down upon us. You don't have to be a military strategist to figure that out. But they were going to get that all the way, and the new borders would be Tiberias, right over there. And Tzfat, again, I'm sorry if I can't do everything here. But right on top. Aren't you the Shaliach? I can't do something with the weather. But right on top. But right on top to the right of Tiberia, you see Tzfat. and it's a great difference in height, but not a great difference in distance. Certainly not an air distance. It's very short. With binoculars, you can look right into the main street of Tveria. And so this was going to be. Now, if you look at the kibbutzim down below. You stayed Kinar last night, so that will be right around that little ridge over there, sticking out into the water, which you can't see too well. And this would be a kibbutz Ein Gev, and there you have kibbutz Ha'on. The kids in these kibbutzim for 19 years, from 48 to 67, slept underground in shelters for 19 years.
Nice.
Why? Because the peace-loving Syrians would not from up here where we are, but the foothills were way down below. We not over here. We look for way down. In other words, after the you see the field that's being cultivated now.
The road.
Very gray. You can't really see it from here, but the perspective there's a hill going up already. That's where they were.
Wow.
They were looking right over them. You could see them. You could see the kibbutz kids walking in the thing from where they were. Okay, this was all pushed up by our brave army and coming up from all different parts of the Golan. When they overtook this, finally, it's actually a great loss of life coming up here to secure the Golan Heights. But it was a great miracle, and this is what happened. In other words, these cars going along there, you don't see them from where we're standing now. You go down 3/4 of the way, and that's where they were embanked. And of course, they had their bunkers and everything else. And they were throwing. Even today, there are many parts of the Golan that you don't want to see a yellow triangle sun. You don't want to go there over the barbed wire because there were still mines that were still set up in different places. Okay, now, so here you have a setup as how crazy it was. To even think about such an idea, but only Jews can think of such an idea. We have a land finally after 2 millennium, after 2,000 years, and it seems that we don't understand what it is. The Rebbe once said that the Goyim understands that this is ours, and if we say this is ours, just like you don't hear America saying, you know what, we're going to give America back to the Indians because we took it from them, or we're going to give Florida back to Spain or California back to Mexico, then people understand that's it. That's what has to happen over here. Jews have to understand, tell the people, this is ours. And the Goyim will understand that. But if we don't understand it ourselves, what do you want from the Goyim? We'll say, listen, if you're willing to give it up, we'll be happy to take it.
Right.
Okay. Now, yes, questions until now. Yes.
As a Lubavitch Shaliach, who you've just witnessed all these miracles that you were telling us, so how should be our view on what just has been happening and is still happening?
The Shaliach in the I have enough problems with the Golan.
He's sitting in a hotel now with his 12 children.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, here we have a miracle from the Rebbe, a bracha. So is there some plan in the Torah for Shimon?
I imagine just like I'm the Shaliach in the Golan and you're the Shaliach in West Orange, whatever comes to your mind as to, we just don't know. God is running the show. How and why it has happened.
Is there any prophecy about such a thing ever happening? That Jews will be sent out, and this is what people.
No, but I think the Rabbi, you just gave the answer yourself just seconds ago.
Thank you.
When you said that, if you say to the world, this is ours, all right?
So it's ours.
It's ours. But if you're going to say to them, it's not ours.
All right.
So they're prepared. So Bush says, if you don't want it, then give it back to these people. And you make me look good. You make me look good because now I show that I'm an equal what do you call that? Equal opportunity politician. Okay, so you gave the answer yourself. We gave it back. I don't think that Bush came up with this idea.
No, it wasn't. It was a unilateral.
Well, you just have time for on the bus, but I got to Golan. I have 5 or 10 more minutes. So with your permission, I want to concentrate on the Golan just a little bit more. I tell you, the work here in the Golan, as I said, is a large part of the geography of Israel. Even though it doesn't look much on the map in America, here it's a big chunk up there, as you know, if you see the map. And as I said, we're 70 kilometers north to south. And I'm the Shaliach for the entire Azor. In other words, there is one Shaliach in the city of Katrin, and I'm everything else after that, which means kibbutzim, moshavim, and army bases. And a lot of the work we do obviously does with the soldiers, and while it's so beautiful today, this is also one of the coldest areas in Israel in the wintertime, and there are a lot of soldiers that are right on the Gvul, right on the boundary with Syria, and sometimes you have a base of 12 or 13 or 14 soldiers in a bunker deep down. Hanukkah comes along and Purim comes along. Most times people are not going to go visit them. It's hard to get there. It's muddy and everything like that. And I get there, thank God, to go with my still 1992 Subaru station wagon, which is not really a four-wheel drive to get to, but we get there. They hear the music blaring, and we're coming to get out their goodies, this and that, so they're happy to see us. I must tell you all that I think the rabbis have heard this already, but it's true. What was true then is still true today. When these soldiers, and when people see me coming, or hear me coming, or whatever it is that we have coming on there, they many times I hear the soldiers calling out, "The Rebbe is coming. The Lubavitcher Rebbe is coming." Now, they don't know me personally, as Yisrael Haber. They don't know what my name is. But when they hear the music and they see the guys coming out of the thing and coming to they understand this, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is coming. And it right away spices me up inside, because basically this is the thought that we're here basically as a tool of the Rebbe, an extension. The Rebbe does the work, and we're here to perform the actual physical things that have to happen. There's nobody here.
We don't care.
There's one particular story, and I'll let you get out of the sun at that point. Many years ago, there was a time when, also for political reasons, one of the governments, I think it was the Paris government, decided that they would not let Chabad guys come on, Hasidim come on to the bases. Now this is ridiculous, because all they do is give free things away. In other words, when we're coming there, we're giving goodies out, we're giving Shaliach out, we're giving menorahs out, we're giving candies out, and yes, sir.
Yeah, that was because because Chabad was supporting one of the political opponents.
Whatever. The bottom line was that all the people that benefited from it were the soldiers themselves, right. And so they decided not. Now up here, I never really had that problem, and I'll tell you why. It happened quite a few years ago. And from that time on, thank God, all doors are open to me on the basis. It was way up in the north, near Kunatra. I guess you'll get there today later on. And it was Hanukkah time. It was very cold. And I finally get up to the thing, and the loudspeakers are blasting Hasidic music. And the guys inside knew, and you hear the murmuring, oh, people are coming to visit, Chabad is coming. And I get to the gate with my sons and their friends from the yeshiva, and we have all the boxes in our hands, ready to party with the fellows and give them a good time. And I get to the gate, and I ask permission to come in, and the young fellow standing, I have to ask my commander. Okay, go ask him. A guy comes out, a major comes out. He was the head officer there, and he comes out. He says, "No, I'm sorry, you can't come in." I said, well, "I can't come in. Why not? And all these guys are waiting for." I say, "They're all waiting for us to come in." No, I said, "Well, we're here to deliver good things for you." No. I said, "Well, why won't you let me come in?" He says, "Listen, you're not in our world." And I looked at him. I said, "What are you saying?" He says, "You're not in our world." I said, "I'm not." I started getting very nervous. I mean, so what world am I in? I mean, I'm sitting next to you. You're sitting next to me. I mean, I'm in the same world here. We're next to you. We're in the same world. No, you're not in our world. You don't understand what we're talking. You're in a different world altogether. I said, "Well, which world am I in?" He says, "I don't know, but that's how it is with you Haredim. That's how it is with very Orthodox people. Well, we don't want anything." I said, "Well, we don't want anything, but I mean, I'm still getting very nervous now. I'm not in your world. How could that be?" So he says, "Listen," I said, "Why don't you ask me a question? Maybe I'm in your world. Ask me a question." And he said, "You know what? I'll ask you something that you're never going to know the answer to. But if you know the answer, you know what? You could come on. But okay. So he asked me the question, and he said, "I'm going to ask you something that obviously a person like you with a beard and all that kind of stuff doesn't know anything about it." He thinks for a minute. He says, "I'm going to ask you a question about sports." And I said, "Thank you, God." I thought he was going to talk microbiology or chumash. You never know. And here is sports. I said, "Oh, okay."
How do you even know that sport?
And he says to me, I lived in Madison Square Garden growing up.
You?
Yeah. I lived there. Sometimes I went home, but I was there for every Nick game. I was a sports editor for my yeshiva newspaper for RJJ, and I knew every batting average. I mean, this was I got thrown out of school because I knew the batting average better than I knew the Gemara, and so this, if anything was, and he says to me, "I'm going to ask you something." And you're never going to. I said, "What's that?" He says, "If you tell me who the greatest basketball player in the world is, and I'll let you win." And he's sitting there knowing, obviously, a guy looking like me in his mind will never hear that. And I said, "That's what you're asking me?" I said, "I'll tell you the truth, you're embarrassing me." He says, "Yeah, I knew it, Rabbi." I said, No, you're embarrassing me because every little kid can answer that question. I'll give it to you in two languages, in Hebrew and in English. In Hebrew, it's Michael Yarden.
Air Jordan.
And in English, it's Michael Jordan. And the guy, he can't believe it. I said, now I'm going to ask you a question. He's standing there shocked that those words came out of my mouth. And I said, I'm going to ask you a question. Who was the MVP in the NBA in 1963? And he said, I wasn't born in 1963. Tell me, you know the answer? He says, no, let me in. He opened the door. Let's go, guys. And the guy was dumbfounded. He could not believe. He said, we have to understand one thing. We as observant Jews, we live in two worlds. They live in one. They only live in one world. A person who doesn't know anything about his religion and is Jewish, unfortunately, lives in the one world. But we understand that there are two worlds. And I thought at that moment that, thank God, that even though I got into trouble with this as a kid, you needed the Gashmias and the Ruchnias. You needed the mundane and the holy. And so it's, at this particular point, it kept me in good stead that I knew what I was talking about, and I got in. He was so impressed. He was so shocked. And he even drank a little vodka with us, even though he wasn't allowed to. And the guys weren't allowed to, but from that time on, he passed off an order that is still in a plastic thing today. That whenever this guy comes on to any place over here, this was handed down from command to command.
Right. Don't question his knowledge of
Ask him a different question.
Let him in. Ask him about the weather.
Ask him about the weather.
And that's one of the stories. I could tell. I know that you're in a big rush today. You don't have time for me today. But I can tell you, you don't know that. The tour guide is getting answers. I can tell you like this. Throughout your tour today in Golan, I understand you've been on Jeeps already, whatever you see, remember one thing. This is here to stay. We know it's so. Nobody's going to take it away from us. Even though people try and they come up with crazy things, Clinton himself has a problem going out of the White House. I feel bad for him that the whole neighborhood there is not safe. But why he was worried about peace over here, as you see, it's a very peaceful place. The Arabs are on the other side of the border. They don't come over here because if they come here, they know what they're going to get. And so we couldn't think of a more peaceful place in all of Eretz Yisrael than in all the Middle East, perhaps, maybe in America, than the Golan Heights, thank God. And so let him worry, and let the prime ministers and the presidents worry about their own backyard. Over here, thank God, things are peaceful, things are calm. I wish you a great day on the Golan and a pleasant trip. And when you have more time next time, come back to the Golan and see it up close even further.
Thank you.